Hi, this is Dina for Splitcoaststampers. In this video, I'll show you how to use watercolor paper to create a sturdy pendant for a necklace or an ornament. I've cut 4 little teapots with a spellbinder's die out of heavy watercolor paper. This is 140-pound hot press paper, and that weight works really well. This shape has a hole at the handle where I'm going to connect my cord, but I need a hole for an embellishment. If your die doesn't have a way to hang, you'll need to punch a hole in each piece so that you can attach a jump ring, and you'll do that in the same way that I've done here. Punch one, and then use that punched hole as a template for the other pieces. And you can either line up the die cuts and mark the hole with a pencil, or stack 2 together and punch through the same hole. You just want to make sure that the hole is in the same place on each layer. The next step is to color one of the die cut pieces, and that will be the one on the top when the pendant is complete. I'm using watercolor paints to color mine, but you could use pencils or markers or whatever you like best. I actually have several layers of paint here, and I dried with a heat gun in between layers so I could build up some dimension. Here I'm using a colored pencil for some more detailed shading. And then I decided I wanted a little more color on the teapot, so I went back in with the watercolor and added some more yellow to the highlighted areas. To create the pendant, we're going to layer the 4 die cut pieces together. So you're going to need some kind of a liquid glue or a matte gel medium, and we'll stick the pieces together one at a time. And while the adhesive is still wet, you can give the pendant some shape by curving it gently with your fingers. You don't want to curve it too much or the layers will start to slide and your holes and other details won't line up, but you can give it a slight curve. To make sure my punched holes stay in line, I'm using a bent out paper clip, and I'm going to put the end through the hole, and that will keep all the pieces together as the glue dries. You'll want to be sure to let the glue dry completely before you go on to the next step. When it's dry, you can use a nail file along the edges, and that will take care of any shifting that might have taken place or any edges that aren't lined up perfectly. It also will take away the layered look of paper, so it will look like a single solid piece and not so much like stacks of paper die cuts. I added a step in here, and this isn't in the photo tutorial. I decided I wanted a little metallic sheen on my piece, so I pulled out some Inca gold. I have a ton of this from a time when they were on sale, and some of them are drying out, but they can still be dissolved with a little water and used for a shimmery wash. And all I did was just to pick up a little of the product with a wet brush, and I created a little palette in the lid. So if you have any of this in your stash, don't throw it out if it's dry. You can still use it. The last step here is to give the pendant a glaze, and this is the product I'm using, but any other varnish or acrylic glaze will work. I let my first coat dry and did a second coat, and I also put a coat of glaze on the back side of the pendant. While you're working, make sure that your glaze isn't filling in any holes in the design of your die, and you can clear those out just with your brush as you're going along. Here is another little extra for the video, but in case you may want to hang a bead on your pendant, here's how that's done. I've got a 2-inch head pin here, and I thread my bead on it. And then using round nose pliers, I'm going to grab the wire about 1/4 inch above the bead, fold the wire down, and then over at a 90-degree angle. And then I'm going to wrap that end around the wire until it gets back down to the level of the bead. Use cutters to trim it as close as you can to the wire. And then use some flat pliers to press down the end so it can't catch on anything. And then I use the round nose pliers again to tweak my little loop back so it's straight and centered. And that's it. I have a 7mm jump ring here, and I'm going to open that and thread it through my punched hole. And I like to use 2 pairs of pliers when I'm working on jewelry so I don't wear my fingers or my nails out. So I put one end of the ring through my little hole, and then I'm going to hook my little bead wire on there before I close the ring back up. And that's that. If you have punched a hole on your piece to hang it as a pendant, you'll use your jump ring in that hole. And you may need to adjust to a larger size jump ring if your hole is a little further from the edge. The last step is to attach some cord or chain to create a pendant, or maybe a hook and hanger if you've made an ornament. This is a really fun project, and you'll be surprised how sturdy 4 layers of paper can be. Thank you so much for watching.